You're sitting around a fire. It's 50,000 BC. The sun went down hours ago. There's no Netflix, no phone, just you and the flames. And the smoke, it curls into your face. You breathe it in, and something in your head shifts. You feel light, calm, a little strange. Nobody taught you to like this. Nobody had to. A burning plant changes your mind. A plant that was trying to poison a caterpillar. Somehow it ended up in your lungs instead. Be honest. When did you last lean towards smoke instead of away? A campfire, a grill, incense in a quiet room. You did it on purpose, and you liked it. The part nobody tells you. The first person who did this wasn't chasing a habit. They thought they were touching another world. Smoking didn't begin as a pleasure. It began as a religion. Let that sit with you for a second. To see why, we leave your fire and drive to a dry lake bed in Utah, where 4 burnt seeds rewrote the timeline. In 2015, archaeologists dug into those mudflats. They found an old hearth, duck bones, stone spear tips, and 4 charred tobacco seeds. The lead archaeologist was Darren Duke. His team carbon dated the fire. The number came back wrong. Too old. Way too old. 12,300 years. 12,300 years. The old record was a pipe from Alabama. 3,300 years old. Utah beat it by 9,000 years. Before farming, before writing, before wheels, people were already using tobacco. One detail makes it stranger. Tobacco didn't even grow at that camp. The nearest plants were 8 miles off. Somebody carried it in on purpose. Even then, it was worth the walk. They may have chewed it into wads or thrown it on the fire and breathed, which raises an obvious problem. Here is how you discover a plant does that. There's no label, no instructions. Nobody hands you a manual on desert weeds. The answer is the fire. Fire had already changed everything for humans. It cooked food. It scared off predators. People spent whole nights staring into it. Warm, bored, breathing whatever burned. Ancient camps burned whatever was around. Grasses, brush, whatever dried out nearby. Sometimes that pile held the wrong plant. It burns. The smoke drifts sideways. And whoever's downwind catches the full dose. Someone sat downwind of the wrong burning bush and had an unexpectedly great evening. Honestly, respect. But this is the part that matters. And they noticed what it did. And the next night, they did it again. They did it on purpose. That's the whole story of smoking, right there. Accident, then repetition, then meaning. You already run this exact loop. The first person to try coffee felt something. Now you make it before your eyes open. Same loop, different plant. Caffeine started as a plant toxin too, built to poison bugs. You pour it in a mug. Your ancestors just did it with smoke. Fast forward to 440 BC. A Greek writer named Herodotus is taking notes. He's describing a people called the Scythians, horse warriors north of the Black Sea, and he writes down something bizarre. They build a small tent from felt, 3 poles leaning into a point. Inside, they dig a pit. They drop in red-hot stones. Then they throw hemp seeds on top. The seeds smolder. Thick smoke fills the tent. Then Herodotus writes one word. The warriors start to howl. Those are howls of pure joy. Delighted, he says, like the best steam bath ever. To a proper Greek, this looked insane. Grown warriors howling in a smoke tent. He wrote it down anyway, carefully. This wasn't a party, though. It came right after a funeral. It was how they cleaned the death off. Smoke to wash the grief away. For centuries, scholars thought Herodotus made it up, a traveler stretching the truth for effect. Then they opened the frozen tombs. Pazyryk, high in the Altai Mountains, frozen solid for 2,500 years. Inside, tattooed bodies, perfectly preserved, and a 6-pole tent frame, small sensors full of charred stones, and a little fur pouch packed with cannabis seeds, exactly what Herodotus described, down to the poles and the stones. He wasn't exaggerating. He was reporting. Now stop for a second. A group gathers. Someone lights something. Smoke goes around. Everyone relaxes together. Sound familiar? It should. That's the smoke break behind every office. The circle. The shared thing. The pause. 5,000 years apart. Same shape. You didn't invent the smoke break. You inherited it from a funeral tent. Here's the proof. It was really psychoactive. Go to the Jirzankal cemetery. High in the Pamir Mountains, around 500 BC. Archaeologists found wooden braziers there, blackened stones still sitting inside them. They ran the residue through a machine. The readout showed high-THC cannabis, not the weak, wild kind. Someone selected the strong plants, on purpose, for the effect. This is the oldest chemical proof of getting high, and there's a golden echo of it too. Near Stavropol, archaeologists opened another tomb. Inside were two solid gold vessels, coated in a residue of cannabis and opium. Chiefs were mixing their own cocktails. This wasn't casual either. Ceremony, wealth, and death all fused together. The Scythians weren't alone, though. Look at the whole map at once. The Americas, tobacco. Central Asia, cannabis. The Amazon, snuff blown up the nose. In the Amazon, that snuff went up hard. A hollow bird bone, one sharp puff. The shaman used it to leave his body, to go argue with a spirit on your behalf. South Asia, betel nut, chewed for a buzz. Half of South Asia still chews it today. Red-stained teeth, a warm little lift, a stimulant older than most countries. Arabia and Africa, incense and khat. Every inhabited continent lit up. None of these people talk to each other. Different plants. Same idea. Burn the plant, breathe it, reach somewhere else. That's not a coincidence. A coincidence doesn't repeat on every continent. Same species, same brain, same open lock. Point that brain at a fire, and it finds the plants. Give it 10,000 years, it finds all of them. That leaves one question. Why does your brain reward you for inhaling poison? The answer is inside your skull, and it was there before the first cigarette. Your brain runs on tiny keys and locks. A molecule fits a receptor. A signal fires. One of those locks answers to acetylcholine. It handles focus, memory, muscle control. Your body has made that key forever. Acetylcholine goes back absurdly far. Older than brains, older than animals. It even shows up in bacteria and plants. Now the trick tobacco pulls. Nicotine is a counterfeit key, shaped just like your own signal. It slides into the lock and fires it, harder than your body ever would. Dopamine floods the reward circuit. Your brain says, do that again. That's the calm but sharp feeling smokers describe. Focus and relief in the same breath. The twist people miss. The plant didn't build that key for you. It built nicotine to kill insects. Nicotine evolved to kill bugs. It just happens to fit your lock too. A bug's nervous system and yours. Close enough for the key to work. Nobody designed this. Pure chemical accident. Cannabis does the same trick. Different lock. Your brain makes its own bliss molecule. Scientists named it anandamide, from a Sanskrit word for joy. THC copies its shape almost exactly. Same story. The lock came first. The plant just built a copy that fits. And smoke is why it hits so fast. Burning turns the plant into vapor. Vapor slips through your lungs in seconds. Straight up the bloodstream to the brain, faster than a drink, almost like an injection. So the deep answer is strange. Your body was never waiting for tobacco. It was running its own chemistry, and a plant found the molecule to trigger it, by accident, for its own reasons. The honest answer to when this started: we don't know the exact night. We probably never will. Smoke leaves almost nothing behind. Ash, a few seeds, a stained stone if you're lucky. But we know the shape of it. So, the culprit. It wasn't a person, it was the fire. Fire turned poison into a vapor you could breathe. The oldest way to get a drug into a body. And the second culprit is you. Well, an ancestor with your exact brain. Curious enough to notice the effect. Stubborn enough to do it again. Every drug ritual on Earth starts there. Around that smoke, people did three things. They prayed, they dreamed, they talked to the dead. Smoke was the signal line to the gods. Put yourself in their heads for a second. They had no word for chemistry. No idea a molecule was hitting a receptor. All they knew. The world went soft and bright. The dead felt close. The sky felt open. So of course they called it holy. A drug effect, read as a visit from the gods. The Americas turned that into the sacred pipe. Tobacco you offered before you ever inhaled it. Smoke blown to the four directions. A prayer you could watch rise. It was how you spoke to the sky. For most of history, that's what smoking was. Sacred, rare, serious. Then, very recently, that flipped. Tobacco crossed the ocean 5 centuries ago. The sacred plant became a cash crop. The ritual became a product on a shelf. The counterfeit key got mass-produced. One plant, billions of identical doses, cheap, legal, on every corner. The ritual lost its funeral. It kept its grip. And that's where the numbers get dark. Today, about 1.3 billion people use tobacco. It kills over 8 million a year. 8 million every year. From a plant that was aiming at caterpillars. That should make you pause. A caterpillar deterrent scaled to a pandemic. One line reframes all of it. The lock in your brain came first, long before anyone rolled a cigarette. The tobacco industry didn't invent your craving. They found a lock evolution had left open. Then they sold you the key by the billion. And the lock learns to want more. One key stops being enough. Take the key away and the lock aches. That ache has a name: withdrawal. Your brain rebuilt itself around the fake key. Now a calm day feels like something's missing. The chemistry is just doing its job. That's the whole trap in one picture. Which brings us to the thing in your pocket, the vape, just the newest counterfeit key. No fire, no funeral, no gods, same lock, same flood, same loop. The device changed. Your receptors didn't. Same locks, the Scythians were firing. Look at your own day for a second. Coffee in the morning, a cigarette or a vape, wine at the end of the night. Everyone is a plant chemical in a lock. You're running the same ritual as the fire circle. You just swap the smoke for a mug. Step back, and the pattern is almost funny. A caterpillar poison became a global ritual. A funeral rite became a coffee break. A message to the gods became a nicotine buzz. None of it was planned. All of it was inherited. A chain of accidents handed down the line. You woke up already holding the habit. Nobody sat you down and asked if you wanted it. It was just there, warm, familiar, waiting, like a fire someone else lit, 50,000 years before you were born. So think about your own fire, the thing you reach for without deciding, the coffee, the cigarette, the scroll, the drink. You never actually chose to start. It was already burning when you got here. Every habit started as someone else's accident. You walked into a story already in progress. So my real question for you, what's the thing you do every single day that you never actually decided to start? Be honest. Put it in the comments below. The fire's been burning a very long time. I read every single one.